Hello, Blunt Truth with the Spyderco Tenacious, the most reviewed knife on YouTube, I'm sure. My review is going to be a little different, I think you'll see. Let me set the mood for it by saying Spyderco should be embarrassed to put their logo on this crappy knife. That's not to say I don't like it, I'm just saying it's not up to Spyderco standards. It's basically a bird knife with a round hole and a Spyderco logo to me. Very poor quality. It's a beater knife. It's worth $32. It's not worth a lot more. Like everyone seems to think it's the deal of the century. I don't think so. My opinion, it's priced exactly what it should be priced at. Now I know a lot of you are saying, but blunt, it's got G10 scales, it's got a big flat grind blade, it's got a Spidey hole, it's got drilled liners, it's got bronze phosphorus bushings, it's got 4-position pocket clip, which I have off of it for a moment. It has you know, all these pluses, right? They threw in all the bells and whistles. Okay, well, let me back up my claim then. It's the grind on this blade, this big flat grind, is the poorest grinding I've ever seen. It's like if you hold it in the light right, I don't think you can see it on the camera, but if you have a Tenacious, you know, you hold it in the light, it's all wavy, uneven hills and valleys all across the blade and you can see all the grind lines from the wheel where the 12-year-old that ground it pushed it into the wheel hard and fast and made uneven grinding, and then they didn't buff it or polish it at all, or very little anyway, you know, and he passed it down to the next 12-year-old and so on down the line. Alright, so the grinding sucks, there's no finishing on it, they deburred it and maybe a tiny bit of polishing or something, but very poor. The G10, yes, it has G10. It's extremely thin, super thin where they cut it out for the liner. I don't know why they cut it out so much for this liner. It doesn't seem necessary because it doesn't come over that far for the lock. But super thin little scales of G10. Kind of, when I compare it to other G10 knives I got, it's a different G10. The texturing and you know, it's imperfect in its texturing, but that's petty, you know, that's not worth mentioning. It's not exactly finished very good, but again, that's picky, you know, but it's not finished up like Spyderco's, you know. They shouldn't call this a Spyderco, they should call it a bird and give it a bird hole. I'm glad they didn't, because I hate bird holes, but it's, you know, yes, it's drilled out, it's got the cheap CR13 MOV steel, which is the only Spyderco knife, non-bird, that has that steel. You know, they shouldn't be using cheap junk steel on a Spyderco and call it a Spyderco. My opinion, you know, they're stepping down their reputation by calling this a Spyderco. But, okay, so it's got the cheap steel. Now, they say 4-position pocket clip. Okay. These 2 positions work fine, okay? I took it off so I can show you. Line up the holes, that works fine, okay? This one works fine. So you can go tip up, right there. Tip up, left hand, right hand, no problem. Now, you try to go tip down, what would this be? Tip down, left hand, right? So the blade faces your seam. Line up the holes. Alright, right there. So it's kind of right there. It's kind of really close to where your finger is going to come over the edge. Alright, but it would work, I guess. It looks really close and it sticks out a lot right there. Big. But if you go on this side, right hand, tip down, which is tipped down for most of us right-handers. Okay, that's lined up right where it is, right where it should be. What's the problem there? See, it covers part of the hole, part of the lock, cut out for the lock. You're going to have a problem getting around the clip to get to the lock. and it's going to make the gripping when you're using it extremely uncomfortable. So functionally, it's only tip up left or right hand. My opinion. Of course, everything's my opinion here. You may disagree, but it's tip up, right or left. They just threw the holes in to say, oh, it's a 4th position, you know. Okay, and the pocket clip too, by the way, is extremely thin. I compared it to all my other knives, everything else, and none of them have this thin of a pocket clip. And it's a very stiff steel. There's no springiness. And I've taken a lot of the clips off my knives to move them around, and they're not this stiff. They have a little bit of play, springiness to do the pocket to work as their functional pocket clip. Cheap pocket clip metal. Alright, what's next up? The bronze phosphorus bushings. Tell you the truth, it doesn't even have bushings. I noticed when I got it pretty soon after, it was really stiff, sort of a lot of friction, right? Unlike other Spydercos, even liner lock Spydercos, it's got a lot of friction. And I tried messing with this, but then it got looser if you loosen the pivot screw. So I took it apart to put some. This is the oil I use, by the way. This high-speed turbine oil. It's very water resistant. WD-40 will wash out real easy, and most oils will, including Tough Coat. This stuff is expensive, but it's very water resistant. It'll stay in there, stick to the metal, and last a long time. Good stuff. I like that. But that's my preference for oil. High-speed turbine oil, made by Zoom, I guess. It says Norvey Incorporated. I don't know. Anyway. So I took it apart, right? Okay, I'm just going to take it apart. I do this with a lot of knives. I've seen lots of bushings. I do this with dozens of knives. So I take it apart to lube it up, right? What do I find when I take it apart? What do I find? I'm going to show you. This is what I found. Hello? This is what I find. They call this a bronze phosphorus bushing. Okay, this is ridiculous. It's thinner than a piece of tin foil. Look at that, it just bends around. You can blow on it and get it to bend. See, it's bent. Can you see it bending? I mean, look at that. And it was press cut out of a piece of like tin foil, flat. I mean, it's extremely less than paper thin. It's like tin foil, less than tin foil. And it was press cut, so the edges of it are very rough. Not what you want for a bushing. It has two of these little things, tiny little things. And then to give it a little gap, I guess, they put these little brass ones in there, which are also extremely paper thin, the same thickness. Little tiny brass bushings, if you want to call them bushings. I wouldn't even call that a bushing. This is a bushing. This came out of one of my Kershaws. This is a bronze phosphorus bushing. Right? It's stiff. It's like a washer. It doesn't bend. It's stiff. It doesn't flex. You have to really push on it to get to flex. That's a bronze phosphorus bushing. Small one, but works way better than these crappy things. These are like friggin' tinfoil. It's garbage. They're rough. I put it on diamond stoned and you know, went like this to smooth out those edges. And I did get it smoother, but the way it comes to you, they're press cut out and they don't do any smoothing. It's very rough edges. Not what you want for your bushings, you know. It sucks. It sucks. They suck. Horrible bushings. You know. So that's basically my take on it. You know. It's worth $32. It's not worth $55. For $55, you can get a Native, an Endura, a Delica, Centofanti, a lot of nice knives of Spyderco for that. It's a $32 knife. That's what it is. People keep saying, oh, it's a great knife. It's the best deal of the century. And I disagree. It's a good beater knife. If I broke it or lost it, I might buy another one because it's a good beater knife. But that's what it is. And it shouldn't say Spyderco. They lower their standards by calling this a Spyderco. It's too bad. That's it. That's my take. I'm not doing any close-ups. I am doing the test on it. Part 2 will be the test. First time I tested HCR13 MOV. So that's interesting. Be interesting to me. But I'm not going to do a close-up of it because I don't think it's worthy. It's just not, doesn't look nice enough for macro work to me. It's just a beater knife, you know. Sorry I trashed it so much for you guys that love it. I'm just telling my opinion the way I think it is. Watch part 2. See it cut. Thank you.